one on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
Daily Ticket rolled up. Football Friday. Fun first hour in the books. A lot to do. And we're joined by a man who'll be heading to Kansas City to take in potentially the best game of the weekend as far as NFL Week 4 is concerned. Kansas City and the Baltimore Ravens 4:25 kick. Catch it on CBS Sports. Kyle Fisher live on the Daily Ticket. Kyle, how we doing on this Football Friday, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Just got done a nice little hour-plus stream over on Philly Sports Network, talking all things Phils and the exciting last weekend of the season with some things still to fight for. Getting myself well-rested, getting ready for that flight tomorrow to Kansas City, like you mentioned, man. Just feeling good on a Friday. Can't be better than joining my man Sean Brace, I'll tell you that.
Right on, baby. Right on. I love it. We got Ryder Cup action. Sixers are finding themselves in some conversations that I didn't think would ever happen, would be possible on the timeline right now. But then again, with that franchise, you never know. You never know. And we'll leave it at that. But we got a lot to discuss. And Kyle, great stuff. Once again, yeah, with the Phillies, I'm not trying to bury them. It's just with football. It's ridiculous.
Understood.
But, you know, essentially, what are they playing for? What besides Schwarber chasing down Ryan Howard, what do you want to see with this weekend series against the Twins, albeit starting tonight, 6:45 at home?
So the big thing for me, I do want to see Aaron Nola pitch well.
Okay.
He'll be on the mound tonight. There's a decision to be made, whether it's an extra arm in the DS or whether it's a fourth starter in the CS. You want to see what you have with these guys. And Walker Buehler's pitched pretty well. So if you want Nola to step up and be in that position, it's going to take a little bit of effort for sure from him tonight. So I would like to see him pitch well. And a thing that stuck out for me is the bullpen, although it hasn't been insane numbers, two of the key members of the bullpen, David Robertson and Orion Kerkering, not including last night, have really been pitching poorly as of late. Some command issues, and I would like to see them get right over the weekend. So I know that people are going to prioritize rest at this time of the year, but with two guys who you're going to rely on a lot in big spots in the postseason, just seeing those guys get some reps and get right over the weekend, even if it is a less than stellar Twins offense, that'll be exciting for me to watch the rest of the way. And they have an outside shot at the number one seed too. Let's not ignore that. So.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, outside, but you're right. It's not clenched just yet, so anything is possible. So there is something to be playing for right there, and that's a huge deal. That is a huge deal. You're not lying about that. I guess the Schwarber deal is pretty cool. Of course, hitting 56 now in the pursuit of 58, getting the all-time record for the Phillies. That'd be a monster accomplishment. Oh, by the way, did you ever know? You know this because you're a man that was down at Citizens Bank Park 1,000,001 times, of course, working down there.
Yes, sir.
I never knew that there was a plaque where Ryan Howard's 58th went in the stands. I've never known that until I saw that this week. Left field.
I thought that was one of the cool features. Where is it? I forget. Where did he hit it though? I swear I've seen it before. I just don't know.
I think left field because the guy who posted it, was in left field, lower level, obviously. Well, I mean, Ryan Howard hit it all over that ball yard, but the 58th, I want to say, was lower left field and probably like 8, 9, 10 rows back. And I've never seen it before. I don't know. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but it didn't strike me. The light bulb didn't go off. I thought that was pretty cool. Now here's the deal. If Schwarber breaks that, you got to rip that up, right? You got to take that up.
Do you rip it up or you just have two plaques out there? Hey, this is the old record. This is the new one. Probably cost a lot of money to dig that thing up.
Yeah, it definitely does. But, something interesting there. All right. Once again, Phillies coming up. Big one for Major League Baseball. Of course, a couple postseason spots still up for grabs. And the big one would be as far as who's going to take that final wild card spot in the National League. And unfortunately, and I don't really care because I don't look at them like the same way anymore, but it's looking like the Mets are playing a little bit better. They look good against Chicago in a couple games there, and the Reds can't get out of their own way, so that's a tough mix. But the Mets only have a game lead, third and final wild card spot, and the Metropolitans will be taking on the Marlins, who, oh, by the way, didn't look good against the Phillies, but in these spots over the years have given teams fits, and definitely the Mets. When the Mets had something to play for, I remember in 2007, the Marlins beat up Tom Glavine, getting the start at Shea Stadium. So the Marlins are used to this spot. So you can't just sit here and say, the Marlins are going to lose. 77-82, not a bad season for the Fish. Alcantara on the mound going for the Marlins, so you never know. But that is definitely one thing that we'll be watching here. They do have the Mets clinching scenarios. Mets clinch if they finish 3-0. Reds are eliminated. Diamondbacks are eliminated. Mets go 2-1. The Reds, how am I not reading this right? Reds go 2-1 or worse. Whatever. I'm not going to read that because that's not making sense.
To guarantee it, the Reds to have a almost guaranteed shot is they would need to sweep. The problem is they're playing the Brewers. They're closing up with the Brew Crew. Now, I think if the Brewers win tonight and they secure the number 1 seed, then they may take the next 2 days off, and that could spell disaster for the Mets with Cincinnati climbing. So I think tonight will be key. If Milwaukee wins tonight and they wrap up that number 1 seed, we'll have to see how the rest of the weekend goes. Cincinnati in a short series is dangerous, man. They have really strong Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott. I don't want to see them if I'm a team who has to play them in a 5-game series. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's the playoffs, and I feel so much better about this team right now, the way that they have looked in September. And, oh, by the way, mashing. I don't really care who they have to face between in one of those teams. But then those two teams are potentially could be going up against the Dodgers. We'll be going up against the Dodgers. So we'll see if they're going to be either facing the Dodgers or the Reds or the Mets. And the Diamondbacks aren't out of it just yet either. So we'll get all of our answers this weekend. The beauty is the Phillies can rest, relax. Again, they got a weekend series here, no doubt, but they know where they stand. So if the players need to get a little bit of a rest, that's a good thing. Guys like Kyle Schwarber, who's pinch hitting, get up there and go and see if you can mash a couple more home runs. DraftKings Sportsbook, where we get our numbers from, just to let you know, right here, right now, the Mets -137 favorites. Alcantara at home +113. I think he's a live dog there. I would absolutely bet the Marlins this evening, giving them a little something to play for. And then the Reds are +139. Brew Crew -170 at home this evening. So something to chew on as far as the world of Major League Baseball. Anything else for you in MLB, sir?
Nothing stands out really for me. I mean, obviously what we just talked about, I think the Dodgers are an interesting case to watch. But the out in the AL, I mean, if you like baseball in general, the collapse and resurgence happening in the AL Central between the Tigers and the Guardians has been something to watch. The Houston Astros are suddenly on the outside looking in come playoff picture. The Blue Jays have stayed strong. I think they're probably the World Series favorite in the AL for my money, at least. And then Seattle just really separating themselves from Houston. Again, Houston on the outside looking in right now as far as postseason's concerned. So a couple things still to be determined out in the AL, even if it's only one spot in the NL.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun this week as far as Major League Baseball is concerned. Tuesday, Wednesday, I was locked in. Now we got football, and it's like,
yes, sir.
And the Ryder Cup. So it's like my brain can only take on so much. But of course, playoff baseball right around the corner. Matter of fact, 4 days. 4 days.
Crazy.
Is that a Monday?
I think it's Monday starts it off.
Wow, Monday we got wild card action. Dude, that is awesome. Wow, next week's going to be insane. All right, let's go ahead and talk some football, though. And I want to open up with the NFL, and you are heading out to Arrowhead, but I want to start, of course, in Florida with the Eagles and the Bucks. Eagles 3.5-point favorites. Tampa Bay dealing with a couple of injuries that have me wondering what's going on as far as what are the expectation. This is a team that has been somewhat lucky. And I'm, look, teach their own. You create your own luck. Tampa Bay's a good team. But the winning on the last, possession and 3 straight games, coming out on top 3-0, eventually that luck's got to run out somewhat, you would believe. But here they are going up against the Eagles. And I'm not a guy that likes to, or that really falls into the trend of like, as it gets closer, I could start talking myself into a blowout or like the Eagles are going to win by 30. I'm not one of those guys. So trust me when I say this. But I feel like the Eagles are going to put it together on Sunday. And I think they're going to win big against the Bucs. Something is hitting me. It's a combination of what took place in that second half. It's a combination of what's being said continuously about this team going down to Florida. The change. I like that approach from Sirianni. Like, hey, let's get down there early because this is what we've experienced in past, and we're not going to have that. Is it going to work? I don't know. But mentally, it is now something that the players are thinking about. Like, hey, man, we're going down there early because of this reason, because they're saying we can't win down there if we do it regular. And oh, by the way, the Bucs are dealing with some key injuries. Now they're going to get Godwin back. He's going to be on a pitch count. Evans is out, and he's a big deal. But like, okay, you got Ibuka, who's an awesome receiver. Quinyon is now shadowing the receivers for the other side. Will it start that way? I don't know, but it will end that way, especially if he has a big play. I'm talking myself more and more into the Eagles being dominant on the defensive side of the ball and putting it together on offense, and the Birds are going to win double digits on Sunday. Am I out of my mind?
No, I think that I'm not necessarily in a blowout scenario, but I'm feeling pretty good about them going into this weekend. I don't have concerns about them when it comes to the weather. I don't think there's anything as far as trends. I think the NFL is such a year-to-year, week-to-week league that you can look at trends and how they've performed in Tampa Bay all you want, but this is a different team than it was 2 weeks ago, let alone a different team than it was last year, the last time that they played down there. The injuries are big. Mike Evans being out is huge. Godwin coming back and only being on a pitch count is huge. Baker Mayfield is dealing with right bicep tendonitis. If he can't sling it the way that he normally does to these receivers, that is another thing that hinders them big time. Now, the one thing that I think people, if you haven't been watching the Bucs closely, if you're real casual or just an Eagles fan, they have been getting it done very similarly to the way that the Eagles have gotten it done, through the ground. Baker Mayfield, a big part of that. But they have, I think it's like 133 rushing yards a game. They're in the middle of the pack when it comes to passing offense, just like the Eagles are. And I think that the Eagles have started to click, and they are a group that has no problem speaking their mind in meeting rooms. They have no problem questioning the coach. You saw what happened last year during the bye after week 4. They all went to the coaches and said, we think this is the game we should be playing. And you heard comments. They weren't defamatory, but Jalen Hurts spoke after the game. Like you saw in the second half, what happens when we let our dogs do what they got to do. And I think they're going to come out with a game plan of let's get after it early. Let's not have to have a second half adjustment. Let's get after it early and show these guys that we are who we say we are, that we are who the guys on the roster and the back of their football cards show that we are. So blowout, I don't know. They've been getting it done with rushing and defense, just like the Eagles have. The Eagles rush defense specifically is about, I think they're allowing about 133 yards a game. So right in line with what the Bucs are used to. So I think it's going to be a slower paced game because it's 2 run first offenses. But I just personally, from listening to reporters and listening to what the players themselves are saying, I think the Eagles are going to come out and jump on them early. Might be a closer score by the end, but I think they jump on them early.
I like where your mind's at. We did just get the official injury report. Adam Schefter just put it out literally a second ago. Mike Evans, obviously out. A defensive back, Christian Isian, he is out. Chris Godwin Jr. listed as questionable. Logan Hall, defensive lineman, questionable. Baker Mayfield, I believe it's a shoulder, questionable.
Right bicep.
Oh, it's a bicep, excuse me.
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs, questionable. Now, he was out all due to a knee injury in the offseason. This was supposed to be his return. He was a full participant at practice, now listed as questionable here. So something to keep our eyes on. Baker's playing. We know that. Baker's a dog.
Yeah.
But that Wirfs injury is a big deal. If he's not able to go, that's definitely something there that has my attention. I just look at Tampa Bay without Evans, and now you're asking a lot there. Again, I think a lot comes over to what you said as well, where the success that they had in that second half, you heard from what A.J. Brown said, Jalen Hurts, what you just discussed. I think that's going to play into the play call for Petula and company, especially in that first half. I like the Birds to get after them down there. And again, the fact that people continue to say, oh, the Eagles can't win there. I just watched ESPN. Schrager was saying it this morning. They can't win. These guys watch TV. You know that. They know what's being said. Like, all right, enough. That was last year. That was 2 years ago, whatever it was. This team is a different monster. They're 3-0, and they're a damn good football team. They're going to go down there and get it done. Saquon Barkley, I like Saquon more in the receiving game than anything this weekend, and I'm not trying to say he's going to do a lot, but there is a prop that I do like from his receiving numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to break 1 or 2 as well in this game to get it going as far as the run game is concerned.
We've talked about this in the past when talking about the Chiefs, and this obviously isn't the Buccaneers coming out and saying something that the Eagles can't beat us down here, but we've talked about it with great teams. Why would you give them any fuel? Why would you give them any bulletin board material? If you think a guy in Jalen Hurts who had him losing the Super Bowl as the background on his GD phone
probably still does.
If you think that guy isn't hearing this talk and being like, oh, we about to put it on them, you're insane. So I think, I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. I'm going to stick to my original prediction, but they are going to come out looking like a different team to start this game. No doubt in my mind.
Hey, look, a blowout is pretty rich. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, but they are 3.5-point road favorites. So let's start there. The odds makers are saying that this team is going to win the football game. Is it the first time that we're seeing something like that? No, but I thought that was significant. That's one. Bucks are 3-0. This is a 3-0 versus 3-0 versus 3-0. Shout out to Cousin Nikki. We appreciate Dynamic Duo is back. Always a pleasure. Cousin Nikki checking in. Like I thought to myself that, like, if you were making me give this line at the beginning of the week, I could have said a pick. I would have leaned towards the Eagles being favored, but I'm not trying to sleep on the Tampa Bay Bucks either. But now more and more this week goes on. The injuries coming out. Oh, by the way, what's being said? National media. Yeah, I'm starting to buy into the fact that the Eagles are going to put it together in this one, come away with the victory on Sunday afternoon.
I'm just waiting for the Jalen Hurts dressed up, sitting down real casually at the table and saying, oh, so that's what Tampa Bay is, huh?
That's it.
That's what we do in Tampa Bay?
That's what we do in Tampa Bay.
All
right. But we do have to talk about a key injury for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sure. Talk about Nolan Smith Jr. being out. And what does that mean to you when Nolan Smith is no longer a part of the defensive game plan rolling in? We know what he's capable of. I'm not a guy that's sitting down breaking down film. I mean, we have his stats and what he's been able to do this year, but he is a guy that has one role, and it's getting after the quarterback, and he's pretty darn good at that. And it's a big loss. So do you expect this defense to take a step back as far as getting after Baker? Do you think the game plan would be different? Because that's another thing with Baker. I said it earlier, he's not Michael Vick reincarnated, but he is a guy that can get out there and make plays with his legs. He's not afraid to do that. Maybe he's a little hampered this week dealing with the injury, but at the same time, he's a dog. So no Nolan Smith. What does that mean to you this weekend?
It's going to be a challenge. Obviously, he kind of became the centerpiece of the pass rush, especially through the early season. You had some injuries, and you had one guy suspended for an entire game, essentially. But he's an important part of this. And I'd say that an important part of what the Eagles have been able to do these last few seasons with the pass rush is they've had a deep rotation of players. So when you start to chip away at that depth, obviously it's going to be a problem. It makes the signing that we broke right on not that we broke the news, but we broke it to our audience of signing, was it Zadarius Smith? That much more important, right? So I think that while he may not know the full playbook yet, if his job is get after the pass rusher and he needs to step in for a few more plays, he's been a guy who's done it at a high level before. I think it's going to naturally take a step back. And when you have an elusive quarterback like Baker and a team that relies on the run as much as Tampa has early in the season, you might not see the impact of him being gone yet in just this first week. I think the bigger thing is going to be how does it look in 2 weeks. But Smith makes up for some of that. Is he the same player? No, but I'm not too worried about it being a massive drop off.
Couple stats for some people out there, for the nerds, as they say. First of all, the Bucks opened up the season against the Falcons, won at the end 23-20. You remember that one? Falcons had an opportunity to send it to overtime. Buka had the touchdown to go ahead. Then they come back against the Texans, and that was on Monday Night Football, which was a hell of a victory by Baker and company to go on the road and get that victory in walk-off fashion as they did. I believe it was a walk-off, right? It was right there at the end. And then last weekend, it was chaotic. Another picked up field goal, blocked field goal, Bucks and Jets. They ended up winning that game 29-27. So a lot of luck on their side right here, right now. And I don't really necessarily view the Eagles as lucky. They made a lot of plays. Were they lucky to cover the number last week? Yes. But to block the field goal, that's not a fluke. Do you know the week before against Tennessee Titans, they blocked a field goal, or was an extra point attempt, whatever it was, against the Rams. So this was a team that was dealing with some issues on special teams. Eagles exploited it. I don't think that was luck at all. And, of course, the Eagles beat the Chiefs in week 2. A little lucky that Travis Kelce is not the Travis Kelce from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, plenty of game to go, and that as far as Chiefs and Eagles, so who knows how that would have ended, and then opening up against the Cowboys in week 1. So 3-0, monster matchup. Bucks are good, man. Bucks are real good. I'm not trying to sit here and say they're not, but I would love to see the Eagles go down there and put it together. And I think the odds makers are hinting at that with the 3.5. I hate to be that guy, Kyle, but man,
no, I agree. The 3.5 for a road favorite is big. It's not 2.5. It's not 1.5. It's not a push. It's going beyond the field goal favorite for a team going on the road, and the home team is 3-0. That's very telltale sign for me.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it moving. And we got a lot of NFL to get to. But before we jump into what's taking place on Sunday, and especially where you're heading, I want to ask you about what took place last night. And what are we doing right now? Why are we changing the rules every single time out? Why can't we just keep what the game is and like just let it be? Like, who's behind these decisions? Where did this even come from, Kyle? And I hate to throw it to you because I don't know if you know the answer to it. But when did this change this offseason? Why do we all of a sudden want to change the kickoff rule, give 5 more yards? It's so stupid. And I know we did it on player safety, the original move, as far as getting rid of the kickoff. But this is just ridiculous. And I'm not crying sour. It's not sour grapes because I had no action on the side yesterday. I thought it was a little, it was a tough break to lose a game the way they did. Still had plenty of time to make a defensive play. Credit to the Seahawks for getting the ball in field goal range. Nice throw by Sam Darnold and company. But just the whole kickoff deal. And then I turn on, again, this is my problem. I watch too much TV. I watched TV this morning, and I got people telling me how, like, they need to remove field goals from all throughout the course of the game and until the final 2 minutes and just try. Why do we have to keep changing things? Why can't we just keep the game as is?
Yeah, I don't know why they've changed. I understand the original was for player safety, and then people started complaining about that just being too boring because it was a touchback every single time. So they wanted to encourage more run backs, but then you have these weird rules that, like, I don't even know the rule.
Yeah.
I always look at it this way. Whenever there's a rule change significant enough for our CBS crew to have to sit and explain it to each other and then to the audience on the broadcast, the NFL is probably doing too much, right? Like if we have Tony Romo, former NFL quarterback, spending an hour Saturday night before a game going, can you explain this to me one more time? Then we probably are doing too much. You know what I mean? And no, it wasn't a full hour. Please don't go rip Tony Romo. But like our meeting is an hour and he spent half the time. Like, I want to make sure I get this right tomorrow.
Yeah,
someone
you're
please
talking
make
to
sure.
millions of people and
Exactly.
Everybody's a critic, so he's got to get it right.
Yeah, so I don't know why they decided to change it again. I think removing field goals would be a ridiculous thing, but I mean, there's been people in that camp for a long time. They feel like kickers aren't real football players and that they shouldn't exist and just start the ball in the 20 and keep it going every single time. So I don't know what to what to say, but I did full transparency, Sean. I did not see the end of the game last night. I did not watch Thursday Night Football.
Well, it came down. First of all, credit to the Cardinals. They turned it on in the fourth quarter, scored a bunch of points, made it interesting, tied the game. And then on that kickoff, he kicks it, and what the hell even happened? I don't even think it went out of bounds. It was just short. It was short, like it hit before the 20-yard line. Is that what it was? I can't even tell you what happened. Next thing you know, they get the ball at the 40-yard line. Sam Darnold completes one pass, and next thing you know, they're on field goal range, and now these kickers are kicking it from 80 yards out, regardless if they get it from the 40 or not. But it's just like stupid. Like, bring it back. Bring back the old kickoff. Let's just have these guys sign waivers that, yes, they know their health might be deteriorated because if they're on the kickoff, because they're out there like modern day gladiators. They're making good money, and I hate to say it, but that's the way it needs to be. Bring back the old kickoff, please, Kyle.
Yeah, dude, I want to see David Akers go down there and run somebody over. I don't want to see a guy kick the ball and get out of the way, man. Let me see some action from these small guys. Hell, Penn State tried it with a giant kicker. Why not, dude? Just go down there and get some big defensive lineman to kick the ball and then run and tackle somebody. Who cares?
Now you got like these knuckleball kickers are in vogue, and it's like it's just stupid. I'll
tell you, one of the things that I do for CBS is I watch the kickers beforehand to try and help figure out the target line during the game, and they put in a lot more practice pregame than they have in years past so far.
From kickoffs or field goals.
Yeah, no, they keep the game, they keep the ball there, and they just kick it, and they're trying to see how they can spin it and how they can get it to land within that landing mark beyond the 20. So they're trying to aim specifically for in the 20 and add some spin on it to give their team a chance, add some extra height on it to give their team a chance to get down there. So, the kickers and the special teams coaches are taking it very seriously. But I just confirm. So to land not inside the 20 and have it end up being on the 40-yard line for that reason.
And I believe that's what happened last night.
Yeah, I just looked it up, just confirmed that that's a little ridiculous. But, you know what the rules are. Kick the damn ball. That's,
I guess, but at the same time, as long as it's not going out of bounds, I think that's a dumb rule. It's just a dumb rule. Does every play need to have action? Like if you're not starved for action, go watch a Steven Seagal movie, man. Like, what do you want here? Like,
WWE, there's action throughout. That's all I'll say. If you want to go throw on WrestlePalooza on the ESPN app, it's right there for you. So
nice. All right, let's talk some action as far as these games are concerned. All right, and let's go to your game. 2.5, Kansas City at home against the Baltimore Ravens. I guess the big talking point right here, right now, would be whoever loses is going to be 1-3. That's the crazy part of this conversation. You got two teams that could very well be 95% of America's pick to be in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sure there's a good chunk of change that has the Bills in there, but one of those three. And these two teams, the loser of this game will be 1-3. Here you get Mahomes again as an underdog, 2.5. I look at Kansas City having a little bit better of a defense. The Ravens defense non-existent, especially against the Detroit Lions. Now I'm very cautious because the Lions run game and the Kansas City Chiefs run game, just a slight difference, just a tad difference between those two units. But all in all, Mahomes at home, underdog, desperation. I lean towards Kansas City. I like the Chiefs here at home. What's your read on this game? What's your big talking point heading into Arrowhead on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the talking point is you're talking about two teams that were Super Bowl favorites, and one of them is going to fall to 1-3. And I think it's like less than 3% of teams to start 1-3 in NFL history have made the playoffs, let alone made the Super Bowl. So I think that these two teams are also built a little different than history. I think that the Chiefs that they're pretty depleted at receiver, and once they get their guys back, whether it's from suspension or injury, I think they're going to look like a different animal. Also, you have the best quarterback and best coach of a generation leading the way. So I think that them at home is a different beast. I think that they're going to figure out a way to get by the Ravens, and people who support the Ravens are going to start to get a little nervous because, they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the league. This looked like a year where they might step above the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs are able to get past them on Sunday, it's maybe not time to panic, but a time to start hiding a little bit if you're a Ravens fan.
Your thoughts as far as the 2.5? Wrong team favored? Do you think that the Ravens are going to have a bounce back performance after what they showed? Because that defense was, as I said, non-existent. They were unable to get after Goff, and they could not stop the run. They have players of the Roquan Smith, Hamilton, like they got some good players. I know they were dealing with some injuries too. Not going to try and pronounce the one guy's name up top, the defensive tackle. But ultimately, I know that they were without some big key pieces as far as defense is concerned. Still, though, the way that they were pushed around at home on Monday Night Football was alarming. And, of course, we saw what Buffalo did against them. I look at this game, and I'm leaning towards Kansas City just because of the defensive line for the Chiefs. They might be able to slow it down a little bit more on defense than the Ravens will. And I feel like, all right, like Mahomes, you want to doubt him? They're going to put it together. Kelsey is still a guy that can get separation. I know he needs some help. Worthy should be back in the lineup this weekend, correct?
Leaning that way. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but
I would hope he's going to be. Jeez, you mean to tell me Kelsey runs into him an opening Friday night and he's going to miss 3 games? Yeah, unbelievable that's going to happen. So if they get Worthy back, they'll have a little bit more help as far as the wide receivers are concerned.
He has no designation right now, so he should be back.
Good to know. I lean towards the Chiefs. Your thoughts on the 2.5?
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, you're right to question it, right? The Chiefs have not looked like the Chiefs, even on the defensive side. Yes, they've looked better on defense than the Ravens have. I think that there's just a lot of faith in the Ravens having most of their players. I know you mentioned the injuries, but they have most of their players. Especially if Kyle Van Noy can come back, if Matabuke can come back. Yes, sir. Thank you, pronunciation charts. Appreciate it. But those, having those guys back is going to be a difference maker because the Chiefs' offensive line has looked rough. So if they can really get after Patrick, I don't care how good he is at escaping. You got some nasty guys out there getting after you on that defense. So the one thing I'll say is the way that the Lions look, I don't know if the Chiefs, even with Worthy, have the ability to look that way on offense right now.
No, you're right about that.
So I think that for that reason, with how they've looked offensively, I think the Ravens have looked good offensively, but they've just, you're cursed by a couple fumbles here and there. And I think that with them being the superior offensive team, at least at the moment, that's the reason I might lean towards that being the correct favorite in the Ravens.
Man, I'll tell you what, imagine being the number 1 team as far as points per game this year and 1-2 on the season. 37 points per game for the Baltimore Ravens, 1-2 in the season. Lamar, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, has yet to throw a pick. Like, what are they doing on that goal line? It's just weird to me. They got too cute in that game against the Lions on that goal line stand. And you want to give credit to Detroit. They played some great defense. They had a great plan with Hutch and spying Lamar, and they were very successful. But there's just, when it comes to game planning, especially down in the red zone, in the goal line specifically, like just get there, direct, go. It felt like, again, Lamar gets in that trap where he most of the time he makes it look that easy, but it's like backyard ball for him. Like, oh, let me stiff arm this guy, got the ball, and the next thing he fumbles or throws it away or whatever it may be. And it's just too much of it at that time. It's like, just go. And also too, let me say this, because as I was watching last night, everybody can yell all they want about the tush push. But as much as I have said over the years that if you don't take shots down the field as far as deep shots, you're doing yourself a disservice because of the spot foul in the NFL with pass interference. If you don't have some variation of the tush push, shame on you. Shame on you. And I'm not saying Sam Darnold needs to run the tush push, but am I out of my mind to say, you know what? Can Kenneth Walker take a snap? Like, we could practice this. This is something we can work on. Can Charbonnet take a snap? Is there somebody that I can depend on? That's probably the hardest part. Jalen has spoken about that. We've heard that on a broadcast before. The snap, the catch, and then the push is the hardest part in continuing to make that happen. I'm not trying to say it's easy, but to be on the goal line, to be a midfield on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, whatever it is, and not be able to pick that up, it's such a difference for the Eagles and what they've been able to do. We know it better than anybody, and not have that in your arsenal, not have that in your playbook. I just, shame on you for not having it at OCs across the league.
2 points. The Eagles repeat this every time someone asks them in the media about it. Everybody in the league can do this play. It is not an Eagles exclusive play that you're trying to eliminate from the game. Anybody and everybody in a football uniform can run that play on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays or whatever other day. But
and Black Friday
and Christmas Day, regardless of the day of the week. And anyway, everybody in a football uniform can run that play. And like you said, it doesn't have to be the exact replica. It can be a variation. Yep. How many tight ends were college or high school quarterbacks? Yep. How many tight ends are friggin' huge and could do what Tom Brady did? He would either tuck and go on the weak side, or he would reach over the top. If you don't have a way to gain short yardage when you need 3rd and 4th down, I agree with you. Shame on you as an offensive coordinator for not having something like that in the game plan.
And it hit me last night watching it, and you just saw multiple times, and like the Seahawks couldn't pick up a tough 3rd and 4th down midfield. And they had like one play call that was like, just went nowhere. And then on the goal line, I think they ended up getting it in. They did score the touchdown at the end. I think it was 4th down, but it's like what you have to do to get to that point where it's just right there. And you know what it is somewhat, not so much for Jalen, because the push does help Jalen. I'm not here to say that it doesn't. But if you watch what he was able to do last week against the Rams, he didn't need the push. He didn't need the push from me. He was able to get like 4 or 5 yards on that one touchdown. That was all him on the goal line. Yeah. So I don't know. One thing that was hitting me. All right. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side, hit the rest of the NFL card. I got some big question marks to ask you. All things NFL week 4 on the other side. We got Kyle Fisher hanging with us here. Don't touch that down more after this.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it. It's The Gambler.
iHeartRadio brings you Global Citizen Festival 2025 from New York City at Central Park's Great Lawn. Live performances from Shakira, Cardi B, Tyla, Ira Star, Mariah the Scientist, Camilo, and many more. All hosted by Hugh Jackman. Join the movement changing the world at GlobalCitizenFestival.com. Tomorrow, hear the entire festival live all day on the free iHeart app's Global Citizen Radio and on Hit Nation at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Busy on the Walt Whitman, Janity, New Jersey, down to 42 south at Creek Road. Then in Thoroughfare, we've got portions of Crown Point Road blocked off due to a gas main break and a water main break. 95 northbound heavy Girard Point Bridge, Penn's Landing, then Sabigo Vine Expressway to Bridge. Southbound Jack Cotton to the Betsy Ross and Ridley Park to the Commodore Barry. Blue Route northbound stacked up 95 to Route 1, southbound Jan Broome to McDade, eastbound Schuylkill, Stop and Go Boulevard to South, westbound Jan University to Vine and Boulevard to Belmont. Laura Tortella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Harlem Globetrotters. This isn't just a game. It's a once-in-a-generation event. The Harlem Globetrotters 100-year tour. Come be a part of a legacy that never stops. Be there when history is made. The Harlem Globetrotters 100-year tour. Get your tickets today at harlemglobetrotters.com.
It's your Friday Sports Minute brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Week 4 of the NFL action starts early on Sunday from Dublin, Ireland. Steelers and the Vikings. Vikings a 2.5-point favorite. Over under 41.5 points. Aaron Rodgers over under passing yards 211.5. In Detroit, the 2-1 Lions host the 1-2 Browns. Lions a 10-point home favorite. Biggest number of the weekend. In LA, the 2-1 Rams host the 3-0 Indianapolis Colts. Rams a 3.5-point home favorite. Over under total, the biggest of the day at 49.5 points. New to BetMGM, sign up today using code MINUTE to receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for full terms. 21 plus to wager. New customer offer subject to eligibility requirements. Promotions vary by market. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And that's your Friday Sports Minute.
Looking for the perfect place to host your next birthday dinner, corporate meeting, or special celebration? Randall's Restaurant in Cherry Hill, New Jersey now offers private dining for parties of 10 or more. Enjoy elevated cuisine, attentive service, and a private yet welcoming space designed to make every moment special. Whether it's business-oriented or a night of fun, Randall's brings people together around the table. Book your private dinner or event today at randallslegacy.com. That's randallslegacy.com.
It was a typical day in Philly until the word got out. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. One dime down. Just go to Springfield Mitsubishi. Every vehicle is just a dime. One dime down.
Plus, new Mitsubishis are $9 grand off. Yeah, $9,000 off MSRP.
And get 0% financing. 0 for 60 months at Springfield Mitsubishi. Plus acres of pre-owned. All makes, all models.
And ask for credit amnesty. If you bring home $400 a week, you could get up to $30,000 in credit.
With just one dime down. Up to $9,000 off MSRP.
And it's a crime to pay more than a dime. One dime down.
At Springfield Mitsubishi on Baltimore Pike.
They service all makes and models.
PhillyDrive.com.
PhillyDrive.com.
New 25 Outlander, 32.2, dime down, $535 a month, 72 months at 6% APR. Plus tax tag title to qualified buyers up to $9,000 off plug-in hybrid platinum through $930.
Tomorrow night, live on NBC and Peacock, the Oregon Ducks. Spectacular! Take on the Penn State Nittany Lions with a massive play. It's the Whiteout in Happy Valley, under the lights in prime time. This house is rocking. Don't miss Big Ten Saturday night, tomorrow, 7 Eastern, live on NBC and Peacock. Here comes Saturday night.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Once again, coming to you live on a Football Friday. Kyle Fisher, myself, Sean Brace, hanging out with you guys here. Ryder Cup action, Kyle. Does that get y'all excited? How are you with the golf?
I am not a giant golf fan. However, the Ryder Cup is much-watched television. It's the most engaged that the golfers seem to get in my mind. It's the most engaged that the fans seem to get. It gets raucous out there. So for me, I'm a big fan of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, and we struggled in the beginning. Looking a little bit better here in the afternoon. Still not out of it just yet, but credit to JT and Cam Young. They just won through 13 holes. So that tells you how dominant they were in their match. And that was definitely a question mark coming into the afternoon, whether or not you would go with Justin Thomas, who ended up losing in the morning session, over Xander Schauffele, who ended up winning in the morning session. So, look, I'm not here to second guess, but it's one of those talking points that we all brought up due to the timeline. So with that being said, right now, Europe still leads USA 3-2. I guess the big talking point from the afternoon would be Scotty Scheffler is not the Scotty Scheffler that we have seen all season, and then some. He struggled this morning, and he's struggling again, down 3 to John Rahm and Sepp Straka. He's rolling with J.J. Spawn here. So it looks like Scotty Scheffler is going to be 0-2 as far as day one is concerned, and USA can't afford that. They need Scotty Scheffler to be Scotty Scheffler. So hopefully things will be different in the weekend. Let's put it that way.
Have you talked to the Swing It and Ding It crew about it?
Have not, but I know they're watching. They've been tweeting left and right. I know that. Yeah, that's a lot going on.
Hell, I get a lot of my info on golf from those guys. So
shout
out to that crew.
Swing it and ding it. Damn right. All right, let's keep it going. NFL. Once again, Kyle Fisher with me here. Let's open up. Let's talk a little bit about what's taking place in Ireland. That's Vikings and Steelers, Dublin going down. And then, oh, by the way, is it the Vikings or the Steelers? One of them is staying over there. They got to play in London. We've got back-to-back games and international. Nothing shocks me anymore, but I thought that was pretty surprising to see one team is going to go from Dublin into London the following week. Is it the Vikings?
Yeah, it's the Vikings. So
that
2 games away from home. It's a tough one. But I guess it's if you're going to do 2, you'd rather do them back to back, right? I mean, you don't want to hop on a transatlantic flight twice during the season. If you only could do it once there, spend 2 weeks there, get
It's
your
true.
body adjusted, come back. I don't know I'd have to look at what their schedule is. Do they have a bye coming off of?
Have to.
I would
Have
think
to
you
have
would
a
make it
bye.
as easy as possible on them if you're going to put them through this. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to be away from family,
do.
to be away from your home fans for that long. That's a tough one. So
Training room,
let's see
everything,
what
practice facility. Yeah, they do have a bye after that. So they're and then
okay.
by
So
the
at least
way,
they have that, and they'll have some time to get comfortable again. But 2 weeks in Europe is tough.
after those 2 weekends, then they have the bye, and then they take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Minnesota.
How about that?
How about that? All right. Instead, though, Vikings 2.5-point favorites taking on the Steelers. I like Carson Wentz. I think he looked good in that system. O'Connell, very smart. We know what he's capable of. Again, the opponent, not so much a difficult opponent to face last week. Not a lot of want from the Bengals. Steelers playing much better, but they're very lucky to be where they're at. I like the Vikings on this to open up at 9:30 on Sunday morning.
I also like the Vikings. I think that their defense really looked great. It's funny because for how bad the score was in that game, it wasn't necessarily bad football on the other side. It was just it's things start to spiral and start to get away from you, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 turnovers turns into 14 points the other way, and it feels like it's out of control, even though maybe the stats, if you didn't look at the score, the stats might not show the same story. How about Isaiah Rodgers in that game, huh?
Yeah,
Man,
the Isaiah
was super
Rodgers
exciting.
game.
Did something nobody else has ever done. 2 defensive touchdowns and 2 forced fumbles in the same game. Nobody's ever done it.
It would have been nice to have him back in the Eagles uniform.
I was going to say, it'd be nice to have him in Kelly Green, wouldn't it?
Period. End of story. All right, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I'd take the Vikings in that one.
Next game up that I want to discuss with you, Jackson Dart getting a start here. And it doesn't surprise me. Again, it's another one of those deals that's really easy to understand. Dable is really up against it now with the success that Daniel Jones is having with the Colts. Oh, by the way, what Saquon did, like I would imagine owner Mara for the Giants is probably just want to fire everybody right here, right now. But Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scattaboo, they have some potential. They got some good names. Neighbors is a badass, dude. But Can Jackson Dart be the answer for this weekend? They're taking on the Chargers at home, catching 6.5. Jackson Dart keeping it close?
I don't know if he's going to keep it close. I don't have a lot of faith in the Giants. I've talked about this on your program plenty of times, Sean. I think that rushing rookie quarterbacks is a mistake. I think when you have veterans, you should let these guys learn behind them. Make sure that you continue to build around them. You have these guys for 5 years. If the first year is a learning experience, and then you draft some offensive linemen and some better weapons to protect them, or add to a defense if you're already strong on that side of the ball, you should do that. So I'm a little surprised that they're making this move. We've talked about it in the past. The immediacy of the NFL is a deterrent to a lot of young players in the league. And I don't, not saying that Jackson Dart's going to look bad, not saying that he's going to look bad for the rest of the season, but I think it's a mistake to turn it over to him. And I think that the Chargers are a really good team, and they'll win handily this weekend.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk about the Falcons and the Commanders. Jaden Daniels not looking like he's going to go again this weekend. And now McLaurin picks up an injury. It's not looking good for him either. Mariota filled in nicely last week. Falcons got lumped up against the Panthers. I am very hesitant to say it, but I believe the Falcons are going to get the job done here this weekend at home. I think it's going to be a bounce back spot for the Falcons, and in a spot that the Commanders are going to be brought back down a little bit to earth. Falcons are 2.5-point favorites, game being played in Atlanta. Any opinion there?
Oh, man. The Falcons have looked like a mess to me, man.
Yeah,
I know that they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the Commanders side, but they have looked like a mess. I would, man, I'll go Falcons. Even though I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game than people think. Even with Mariota back there, he looked pretty decent. I just think it's drama down in Atlanta right now, man. I don't know what's going on, but I don't have faith in them until they start to turn the ship. So I would go against them this weekend.
All right. How many points are the Bills going to score against the Saints?
Is it going to be like the Space Jam scene where they just keep running up the score and it just spins and says, "Aren't you satisfied yet?" I don't know.
Game in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think they're a 40 burger on them. I think that wouldn't be surprising at all. What's the line in that one?
15.5 at this point in time, but
15,
Buffalo
yeah, I mean,
team total 31.5 gets you plus money. So if they get the 32, you're cashing those ticket. You want to go 40? You said.
I
You
think they're going to
score
score
40?
I think they will. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. They're
Plus
an incredible
330.
offense, and the Saints stink. So to me, it's no offense to those guys, they could all beat my butt, but it's
none taken whatsoever there. All right, I like that angle. I might take a team total as far as that is concerned. Let's go to the Colts and Rams here. As I just pointed out, Colts 3-0 on the season. Daniel Jones has some believing, good defense. Jonathan Taylor is the story for me. He's looked like the old Jonathan Taylor where, people were taking him number 1 overall in fantasy leagues. The Rams, though, what we know about them offensively, really good. Came up small in big moments last week. They got to look themselves in the mirror. I like the Rams defense. I didn't think they were all that bad. Again, I just give a lot more credit to the Eagles more than anything. They're 3.5-point favorites. I do think the Colts end up losing this game, but I'm starting to see a lot of people are feeling that way as well. So that gives me some chills down the back of my spine. But Rams 3.5-point favorites. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a closer game than you would think on the surface, right? I think that there's a little bit of realism to what they're doing with Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, and again, we've seen it with other quarterbacks. Look, nobody expected Sam Darnold to sign a big contract this year, and he showed what he could do with the right pieces around him and the right coaching and the right guidance. There's no reason to think that Daniel Jones, who showed a flash for one full season in New York. Guys taking what they were doing with Anthony Richardson when he looked really strong in Indianapolis and adapting it for a guy with maybe a little bit of a better arm and a better head on his shoulders, at least at this time. Yeah, I'd say the Colts are going to keep this thing close. Ultimately, Rams still get the victory, though.
All right, let's go to Dallas. And it's a bad scene right now with the Cowboys. They're 7-point dogs at home. This is Sunday Night Football. Yeah, you might have heard Micah Parsons is now playing for the Green Bay Packers. So he returns. Oh, by the way, he owns a suite. He doesn't get a refund, so he's got some people still showing up. He's owning the suite. I thought that was a pretty funny story.
That was funny.
7 points, 47.5. That's my survivor pool play. I think Green Bay rolls. Green Bay's defense is nasty, and that's where it starts for me. And also CeeDee Lamb not being in the mix for the Cowboys, I just feel like there's really not a lot to work with offensively. I think this is going to get ugly. I think this is an easy one for Sunday night. I'll give the 7. I think it opened up at 1.5. Imagine having 1.5 right now, Green Bay favorite. But it's 7 right now. Survivor pool play. It starts and ends with me. That's my one play this weekend. Just win, baby. Al Davis. Green Bay -7. Your thoughts?
I would also give the 7. I think that it is not a pretty picture in Dallas right now. They seem to, like the Bears game. Bears looked like they were ready to get buried and then ended up beating them. The owner keeps talking too much. I know he's done that his whole career, but again, why give a guy like Micah Parsons more bulletin board material? That guy is talking about like, oh, well, he's a nice player, but we would have been better if there wasn't a way to stop him. So clearly there's a way to stop him. Yeah, well, hopefully you can stop him from sacking your quarterback 6 times, because I think he's going to get a few regardless. I don't think that you were right. To me, this is my pick of the week as well. I'd go Cowboys. Don't stand a chance with the 7.
All right. And we got ourselves some great games coming up in college football. We got 3 tonight, Virginia and Florida State. That's got my attention. That kicks off at 7. We got TCU and Arizona State. That's a big one. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. Arizona State 3-point favorites. And in Houston and Oregon State close up shop at 10:30. Oregon State's terrible. Here's the question. No, I need you to take us out on this one. Who you got, Penn State or Oregon? Saturday night?
Penn State at Oregon, man. I mean, I'm excited for the whiteout. I think that it's going to be an extreme environment. I don't. You know me. I'm not a big college ball guy. I don't know who's going to go. All right. Let's phrase it this way. Since I'm openly and admittedly not a college football guy necessarily, why should I be picking Penn State in this one, Sean Brady?
Well, everything is set up for Penn State to win this game. Can I make the case for you as a slam dunk to take Penn State? I really can't. I do like the under. I do think that this is going to be a tight game. Offensively, Penn State hasn't hit full stride just yet, and I just don't expect them to do that on Saturday night with all the hype into this game. Here's the deal. We don't know a lot about Oregon. We know they're explosive, but they haven't played anybody either. My big question mark is this, and it comes down to beef up front. Offensive line for Penn State has been playing a little bit down. They need to be better. You're talking about some guys that are being – I read an article the other day that literally said 7 offensive linemen on Penn State, 7. You only put 5 out there, but 7 could be potentially drafted into the NFL. I was like, whoa, well, damn, they need to be a little bit better as far as running the game, protecting Aller. And that's a big ask because Oregon's got some good, some beef up front as far as defensive line is concerned. So if you made me make a selection, I'm on the under. But if I could point you in the direction as far as Penn State, it's a monster game for Franklin, a monster game for Penn State at home in that environment. Oregon can go on the road and lose this game, and people would be like, yeah, it's a tough spot. I didn't really have them winning it. So I would look at more so from the Penn State angle that they're able to put it together, simplify things for Drew Aller, run the football, offensive line wakes up, and that defense is for real. In that environment, it's going to be tough for Oregon to go there with their flashy offense. So that would be my case for Penn State. But I'd be very cautious because Oregon does seem like a team with Dan Lanning as the head coach that could put it together and score in bunches. So it's a tough one. It's a coin flip for me as far as that is concerned. And you know what? 3.5. The odds makers are saying the same thing.
Yeah, 3.5 for that matchup was a little surprising when you said it. But like I said, I don't know college ball like that, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I think the way you laid it out and knowing that both teams haven't really played anybody, so haven't necessarily been tested, it's a huge week, and I think the home field environment will do Penn State a lot of good. So if you're making me pick, despite me saying that I'm not a big college football guy, I'll go Penn State cover.
All right, but I am making you pick the Eagles game. Give me a final score. Birds, Bucks.
Final score, I will go 24-17.
24-17, Eagles over the Bucks.
Yes,
you
sir.
heard it here. Kyle Fisher once again. Kyle, you're the best. Can't thank you enough for hopping on a football Friday. What time is your flight tomorrow? What time you fly out?
9:30.
Okay, and then what?
9:30
Then what do you guys do then? And where you guys meet at the hotel?
Yeah, so we have our production meeting at the hotel. So I'll go to the hotel, probably get some lunch, some barbecue, of course.
Nice.
And then go to the production meeting, have a nice relaxing Saturday night, probably put some stuff together for the Phillies for next week. Don't have a particular topic in mind outside of bullpen. Just want to see how the rest of the weekend goes before I finalize that one.
You're not hitting the town with Romo? You're not getting out with Nance?
Romo likes to stay to himself. He studies his book, and he plays a little bit of video games to relax, and then he gets himself ready.
Video games? He's a video gamer.
PS5 on the road every weekend.
No. What does he play?
Sir.
Do you know?
He does a little bit of college football. He plays that more. He played Madden before the college football came out, but he plays that. And I don't know what else he plays. I'm not invited to that. It's more of a solo session. He gets zoned in. So.
Yeah, man. That's great. Could you imagine all of a sudden you're playing and next thing you know, you're playing against Tony Romo because that's, you don't know.
Chris Long had the great story the other day, right? He's playing Madden and all of a sudden he's just like, I had a pretty good conversation with the guy. Could you imagine like an NFL player hopping on against you?
Shout out my guy Mel D. Cole. Mel was a photographer that was with the Roots for like 2 to 3 years. This is dating back 10 plus years ago, Kyle. And I bought a PlayStation 4. I get FIFA. It's probably 2014. And I'm playing, and I see a tweet come out. And my guy Mel was like, yo, I just bought this PlayStation 4. I'm trying to play someone. And I'm like, I'm following him on socials. It was Twitter. And I go, yo, I'm playing right now. Let's go. And like, we were just texting. He's a diehard Bills fan. We were just texting the other day. Like we became tight friends. Look, he lives up in New York, but whatever. But yeah, he's a friend because of a PlayStation. We started playing. We literally probably played over those 2 to 3 years, we would probably play like 200, 300 games a year, head to head.
Met one of my best friends in high school that way. He was a friend of a friend, didn't go to our high school, and he played Halo with us all the time. And then one day I was over at buddy's house. We're playing Halo with him. It was like a Saturday morning. And he was like, what are you guys doing right now? Like in real life? We're like, I don't know. You want to come over? And we were like, we don't know what this dude looks like. We have no idea. And he just rolled up to my buddy's back door, knocked on the door. And we're like, so that's George. That's what George looks like.
It's
and he
great,
became one of our best friends. It was awesome.
Yeah, Chris Long's story is pretty cool for people that don't know that. Check that out, which I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, man, it's video games. I love it. Shout out to Romo. All right, good stuff there.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
man, safe travels. Enjoy the game. We'll catch up next week, but always a pleasure. Great to have you on a Football Friday here.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you next week.
My man, there he is. Once again, Kyle Fisher doing a bang-up job. Make sure you're following him on all things socials at Kyle Fisher 45. And be sure to read everything over at Philly Sports Network. Of course, we had Corey Nido earlier this week. Can't thank him enough. Check them out online at phillysportsnetwork.com. All right, 5 o'clock hour on the other side. I'm getting out of here. You're going to hear Ed Lowe coming up on the other side. He joined me earlier today. Let's go USA. Give me a little update here. John Rahm and Sepp Straka were the play here. They are smashing Scotty and JJ. They're up 3 on hole 16, so that's about it. Hole 14 for Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose taking on Ben Griffin and Bryson DeChambeau. They're up 1, so still plenty to play there. The big one is Rory and Shane Lowry and Burns and Cantlay. They're tied at 13 right now. Oof. Gotta have that one. Gotta have that one. You cannot lose 3 out of the 4 here. No. And that would be devastating. 6-2. That would not be good heading into Saturday. So I would imagine you could start putting their name on the trophy if they're up 6-2 heading into tomorrow. But we'll see. A lot of golf to be played. Special thank you to Ryan Ogle joining me earlier today from the PGA Championship taking place up there at Aronimink. He's leading the charge. And Julian Edlow, as I said, and of course, Kyle Fisher. Thank you across the board. It's been a fun week. Looking forward to doing more on tomorrow as we're broadcasting live. 1 o'clock, the Villanova Football Family Roadshow. Myself and Ryan Beefcoil coming to you live at 1 o'clock from Villanova Stadium, getting you ready for Villanova and William and Mary. We will have special guests joining us. Head coach of the Villanova women's squad, Denise Dillon, will be joining us. We'll have some other special guests. Head coach Mark Ferrante is going to be stopping by. My guy Ryan Fannin is going to be stopping by. Can't wait to high-five him because of the final call against Penn State. Tremendous job. Steve Pinot, we're going to be hanging out, getting you ready for all things Cats and William and Mary. That's coming your way tomorrow. And then on Sunday, I'll be live with Roy Burton at 11 a.m. Countdown to Payout. Jam-packed weekend of programming, though. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler. Always a pleasure. Everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. Go USA. I'll talk to you.
Saturday, October 4th, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship debuts at the Prudential